All right. So we got our social media lead expert. This is Ask a Social Media Lead Expert Anything. We've got Markus Willard here from Street Text, which is a platform. I mean, I would say it's a social media lead generation platform, but it's so much more than that. But let's focus first on the on you
Sure.
and how you got this expertise as a social media lead expert. Like, how did you? Let's just start right there, because I know we're going to dive into actionable stuff. But how did you end up becoming a social media lead expert?
Yeah, I mean, dude, because I got a background in real estate in 2007. I got my license, but then I left the industry and got into health and fitness for 10 years. And then full circle, 2015, Stephen and Jonathan Whiting, the founders of Street Text, were heading into the space of lead generation. The textable sign writers is where Street Text comes from. So that's why you hear the name Street Text and you're like, well, what's that lead generation? But that was the background. And then they found Facebook lead gen. And back in the day, it took us at least a half an hour just to create ads and funnels per client. Now we're literally launching ads and funnels within seconds. Like, seriously, click, 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 deploy. And that's the difference that we've come from and where we are today. We are actually a preferred marketing partner with Facebook and Instagram. And that designation only comes when you spend, lots and lots of their money. Yeah. And so we have firsthand insight in their algorithm, which specifically is just understanding the concept of interruption-based marketing. We call it digital door knocking. Top of funnel, really. It's think about it in terms of people scrolling down their feed for hours a day, and you have to put something in front of that causes a click that doesn't feel like an ad, that's organic and native to that area that they're actually living in. And if you can figure out what that formula is, you've got yourself an opportunity to meet lots and lots of people.
All right. I love it. So we're going to start pretty high level. And then I know if you've got things to share, I mean, I've got a whole list of questions that I can ask you from people in our group that have submitted them. The first one is actually one that I wanted to ask you myself anyway. So Matthew was asking, he wanted to know, from running, I mean, you've run hundreds of thousands of ads at this point, if not more, right?
Yeah.
What have you learned over running all of these ads? Like, what are some of the biggest lessons that's jumped out at you?
Okay. 70% of the equation comes down to the ad image. So what that means that there is something that I leverage and I'll show you guys called the quadrant of lead generation. And I teach this all the time to make it super easy for people to understand, is that there's really 4 principles to an ad success. And the most important is always the image you place in front of them, because that image has to be organic and native. And where people go wrong is that they pick stock photos or photos they think look good, when it's really all about that person. You have to get always in the seat of the audience you're in and consider what's the one thing that they resonate with that's organic and native to their area that's going to cause them to click. And it's always the picture. Followed by the second part of that is the text, which is surrounding the picture or the copy. So if you figure out what that looks like in your area, you're bound to get clicks. And then really from there, how you collect that information is just as important.
How you collect it? You mean like the lead capture part of it?
Yeah, because a lot of people try to do seller leads, for example, trying to capture their all their information up front using a lead ad, which is an objective that captures an information that Facebook uses. Mm-hmm. And if you do that, chances are you're not going to get it, because most homeowners to this day, they want to know their true market value, no matter what way you ask it, whether it's an equity ask, whether it's how much your home is worth, whether it's, if someone were to buy your home, would you sell it? All that comes down to submitting the most important piece of information is their actual home's address. So if you start there, then capture information dynamically from there, you're bound to get a lot better information. Whereas if you try to capture all their information up front, it's like proposing to somebody you've never met before and thinking they're going to say, I do.
I love it. Well, let's talk about those seller lead captures just for a minute, because I think it's so interesting that all these years later, what year was Zillow founded? Do you know roughly? I mean, it's got to be 15 years ago.
Been around forever.
Right? So at this day and age, homeowners are still curious what their home is worth. Is that a based on fear, psychology? They truly want to know. They don't know the answer. What do you think it is? Why that call to action is still generating leads?
It's our greatest asset. So we're always going to want to know how much our home is worth, right? Like it's most homeowners, unless you're just a badass entrepreneur and you have multiple assets, that is the biggest asset they have. And so it's going to be something they want to keep their eye on as the market shifts and changes, as economic pressures, inflation. They all know, especially in the times we're in, what are they going to do, right? What's their plans? That this is like their biggest nest egg. Yeah. So that's always going to be on the forefront of their mind, which is why integrations around this, like HomeBot, works so well, because people need to know what their assets are doing at all times. It gives them this peace of mind.
Interesting. And in terms of both the image and the words around it, we can look at that quadrant in a second. Do you feel like as the market shifts, if you can tie into that some sort of news related shift, because to get people's attention, because if people they think that they know what it's worth, but you're trying to piggyback on like, oh, they've seen something in the news that something has changed. Do you recommend people play around with that when they're trying to generate lower cost leads?
Not so much. At the end of the day, the actual ad image and copy should be super simple. It's the follow-up that you give the opportunity to develop the relationship, which is all about know, like, and trust, and really positioning yourself as an educator so that they understand, I think we all have these natural defense mechanisms up when we click on something. And if it feels salesy, we're gone, right? If it's not something that connects and makes me feel like you actually are concerned about giving me the best information possible, and you actually genuinely show it the way you actually communicate, then I'm tuned in. I may not always respond to you right away, but I'm tuned in, and there's this natural relationship that will happen, and I'll continue to look at all your information and receive it. So it is a formula a lot of people aren't willing to invest in, because it takes time to invest in creating an amazing nurture system as well. Because it's a database that keeps on giving the longer you invest in it, right? But it's you'll never find leads so cheap, but you'll never find that you'll have to actually consider a world-class automation and follow-up sequence to make it really worth an ROI, where you can actually look back and say, wow, that's not only did I do 10 times, but in some cases I've seen people do 100 times their return on investment by the longer they invest, because then they start putting systems in, integrations, and then you can start scaling and leveraging and delegating and all these different things. And before you know it, you have thousands of leads generated, and you've got retargeting and remarketing, and it's just, you command the influence of that database.
Well, that's actually ties in. So I have on my other monitor, I have a list of questions from people. So that was a question that Tracy S had asked. Tracy was asking about in terms of follow-up, right? Because I've heard you talk about follow-up a lot in various users of your platform. What have you seen of some of the best, like if you're trying to create an amazing follow-up system, what are the components that you need for that?
Well, 100% video. It's non-negotiable. You can't do it without it. Like it used to be an option. Now it's a non-negotiable. And so the only way to establish and be a brand presence in today is to be somebody who has, has a personality, body language, and tonality is part of that. And it's just, they're looking for someone that is authentic, that can connect to, and they will continue. Like, I think in many ways, your personality has a lot more to do with your success and your follow-up than it does how great you are in real estate, and how many deals you've done. You can have 20 years experience, and there's someone, who's in her first year that's crushing it on her follow-up because she just has a natural way to connect and educate. Right? And so there is something there that I think is about asking questions that are more subjective in nature than always objective on the follow-up side that people connect with, and then learning just how to win friends and influence people by asking the greatest questions, because everybody likes to talk about themselves. So if you get them to talk about themselves and what they love and the memories they've shared in those homes, those are big things.
I love it. All right, let's go backwards. Show me this quadrant you referenced a minute ago. Yeah, I've seen it before, but I want everyone else to see this quadrant, to understand when they're crafting. Because if the whole idea is, if you're really focused on how you generate leads on social media, I think this quadrant that you show, understanding this is probably crucial.
You got to give me screen control.
Hold on a second.
Participant share.
Yep. All right. Coming right up.
Sure.
Go for it.
All right. So here we are. I'll just enlarge my screen and then do a quick presentation there. So, this gives our street cred, right? Because you can see since 2014 that we've done a lot of ads, and this is a couple months old, so I'm sure there's a lot more leads that have been generated at this point. But it just shows you that we've done this in space for a long time, since 2014. And Facebook has changed. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, but ads used to be on a place on the top right of Facebook, and they'd pay you money to do it for them. Like, they literally say, here's free money you can spend on advertising, and we'll set up your ads, because they needed that space. Now it's a game changer. No one does social media marketing without getting on Facebook. So the lead generation floodgates, 4 simple steps: ad creative, ad copy, split testing, and A/B testing. And so, as I mentioned, 70% of the campaign success is due to the creative that's within it. So those are the images itself, right? Local, organic, and specific to your 15-mile radius. And I can show many, many more examples, but architectural style of homes in that particular area that you're in. I've seen really great ones of people using Canva where they combine 3 or 4 images, maybe landmarks and different popular places along with architectural homes is a great way to do it. And I'll show you an example shortly. And then the ad copy is the second byproduct of that. It's what surrounds that image itself. So, for the example, what's your home really worth? And then the call to action being enter your address to receive your home value. So it's simple. It's subconscious clicks. Simple, easy, short, and straight to the point call to actions. And then split testing, which a lot of people, it's a new concept they come into when they hear from Street Text, is this, what is this split test you talk about? Really, it's just taking that same ad and splitting the audiences. So instead of putting one ad out at $10, okay, you're putting 3 ads out at a time, each at $10, for example, but they're going to go out and compete against each other in the variable here, which is just the audience itself, because Facebook's going to randomly select someone within a 15-mile radius because of that Housing Discriminatory Act. So you don't have a lot of options to figure out who that's going to, but your split test will reveal both the quantity of leads you're getting and where they're coming from, especially if you're, as you know, in some of these markets, 15 miles can take you someplace you don't want to be. So
is that unique to the Facebook platform, the split testing, or is that pretty much split testing, but testing your audience? Is that unique to the Facebook platform, or do you do that on any platform these days?
I think people are jumping into this, but it wasn't unique when I first started. It was only something Street Text kind of picked up on. And so most people, what they're familiar with is doing A/B testing, which is just simply, this ad's not working, I'll try a different image or a different copy. Just as important, but you should be doing split tests and A/B tests. So every ad you run, you want to launch at least 2, if not 3, of that same ad to split the audiences in the split test. And then you could also A/B test, which means just try a different image or a different copy or different even targeting. But I like just to change out the image, and that's my big thing. And if you do these 4 well, you're going to unleash the floodgates, right? And I always pick on Linnea because she's the best at doing this. Because when I look at all her ads, she's always split testing in 3s and finding, you can see all of these always are in 3s, and she'll pick the best one and let the best continue. And so it's so big on that. And what she's really good at too, because she's a high C on the disc profile, is she's already thought about what her follow-up's going to look like and reverse engineer it for the year. Like most people just go do it as they go. But what I love about her is, like, from the very moment someone submits their information, they're automatically getting video from her. And that's going to be also going into her HomeBot with video. That's going to also be going to all the integrations, whether it's KV Core. Retargeting is going to be established in that too. So she's already got this incredible, probably like 36 touch point of videos planned for the year, no matter where they are in that process. Let's go.
That's pretty incredible. I mean, and Linnea is part of our crew, so obviously I know her well. Like, would you say, you said she's probably one of the most complete? I mean, is there other people that are doing certain like follow up, or she just put everything together in one way that just works?
I think there's other people doing follow up maybe that are higher leveraged with like ISAs and VAs. And I think she's going to be getting to that. But I think there's nothing like I've seen that for that personal touch that she delivers and gives. Because for me, ISAs and VAs are awesome if you can help them communicate the way you communicate, right? I think there's this big part of that that's missed when you just deliver it to somebody and hope that they get qualified. So, I think if you get them on board, I can see it work. I like there's tools right now that I'm looking into that are cool, like Smart Alto, where there's actual live people texting your leads and then handing it to you. Yep. Or booking appointments for you, but it still needs to go in line with your brand. And a lot of people try to delegate all that, and they dismiss the personal connection part, which is a big piece.
Right. So if you're going to use ISAs, it's about having them be an extension of yourself, is what you've seen be successful.
Absolutely.
Interesting. All right. I have so many questions, dude. I know how much time. So, all right.
I don't think there's as much as you need.
Now we're good. So, all right. So, in that quadrant you just showed, obviously we have the split testing and the A/B testing. How many rounds of testing do people normally go through before they land on like what works? And then once it works, do you leave it forever? Or do you keep tweaking and going around and around again?
I think it's all contingent on the market you're in. I've seen people that just hit it hard in the first test, and then they have an ad that lasts for a year over. I'll show you a quick example, because when you look at, I ran a contest called My Best Ads because I wanted to see within our community who had the best ads performance out there. By the way, this is not a seller ad, but this ad Wendy ran, and it was just helping people get a free magnet, because anybody who loves their Raiders like myself or any football team knows I need a calendar, right? And so also she combined that with the Golden Knights here, and people were just jumping all over this, like at 50 cents a lead. She spent $300. She had to turn it off because she had like 600 leads. And then she started getting listing appointments out of this too, because they thanked her, but her picture was right in the middle. So a lot of people don't realize the out of the box type of ads too. But what was so cool with this ad is that she redirected it to our dynamic capture that captures the address up front. So it first gives them the name, phone number, and email, which she's going to send information or get information from. But then it grabs the address because he needs to send this postcard to that address or this magnet. And she was getting full leads like that, that insane. And then she started showing me pictures of people with that on their fridge, and she started getting listing appointments from that.
That's fantastic. I love that.
So it just shows you outside the box, rent to dream your own home. See all available first floor main bedroom in Johnson County. As we're shifting in this market, what a lot of people overlook is that buyers are sellers. Big part of them are downsizing. Big part of them have an asset to sell as they're looking for something. So it's an overlooked question that people are not asking. They're like, I want seller leads, I want seller leads, I want seller leads. But I'm like, well, you can get triple the lead flow for the buyer leads and find out that half of those are sellers too. So it's just understanding, again, questions. Listings that you have are always really easy ways to get more leads.
If you go back to the last picture, by the way, I wouldn't have even noticed this except for the fact that you said that 70% of the lead success is based on the image. I'm reading the words in this one and looking at the picture, and it says, see all available homes, first floor, main bedroom. And this house has steps leading up to the first floor, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes or breaks or has anything to do with it, but
it obviously didn't. But for this person, they were under $2 leads for this one.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if that actually affected it or not. Or if it was, but it totally, maybe the picture, because it shows steps, but they're looking for people with first floor. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's good. You're thinking about it bigger than I am. Here's the map that we've had work for almost 5+ years. It's hard to beat, especially when you throw price points. This is a KB Core snapshot where you go in there and say, hey, I want homes in this 3 to 5 mile radius that are over 850,000, right? And so these price bubbles come up, and that is obviously attracting people in this particular area. So that was a really clever idea for the What's Your Home Really Worth ad. Donna took an architectural home in the Texas Fort Worth area, and she's got the bulls there, and this looks like Parliament building or something, which everybody must see in the Fort Worth area. So that was clever. This Parker County courthouse was one of our most successful ads, over 258 likes, 102 comments, 23 shares. You can see it's been on since 2020. So it just shows you how an ad can continue, especially something overlooked, Jesse, is that people don't realize that every single one of those 250 likes has a name that you could take a snapshot of this and send them a DM to on Facebook and say, thank you. You didn't see you actually come through the funnel. I'd love to actually give you a complimentary home value type of thing. Commenting, sharing, 23 shares. Facebook will give you free clicks for shares, free clicks for organic, right? That type of stuff's overlooked because you're not paying for that. And so that can keep your ad, especially the comments that you have, if you're interacting back and forth. And a lot of people don't realize too, they can then interact on that comment with video on the comments. And so it's amazing to see what you can do to increase the ad's life and how long, like the longevity of it, just by staying in tune with your ad success.
I love it. And I love seeing the examples of the ads.
Yeah. Kim Renshaw, she's really known in the Central California area for, riding horses and being all about homes on acreage. So it's been a, perspective through her horse, George, and so these type of things just show you the organic native image to that audience is going to go a long way. It doesn't have to be perfect image. It goes, just so you can kind of just see there, that's really the key on there is 70% of it being the image itself.
It's very cool. You just mentioned something in terms of these ads running for years and years and commenting back. I've rarely seen anyone commenting back with video. Tell me about that. Like what is the message you would put if you're going to reply to a comment using video? What would you put in that video?
Oh man. I mean, I think it's just being fun. Like I use GIFs all the time, especially when people are being a little, trolly, right? Or saying, oh, this is just a bot, don't click on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you'll get a lot of those. You're like, actually, no, hey, this is me. I just want to introduce myself. This is a complimentary service. That's the key. It's just being
but
genuine.
doing it with video. Oh, that makes it so, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It just, especially when you have negative Nellies or, trolls kind of coming on there, you a lot of people just hide them or disable them, right. or even worse, get into a text war. But I always say kill them with GIFs. There's a lot of good GIFs out there that you can have fun with, and then some videos too.
I love the video idea, but you could even you could do the robot. You could do. No,
I am not a bot.
Totally. You can hold. Okay. I'm absolutely going to play with that and start training people on that. I love that idea, Marcus. Love it.
That's cool.
All right, we got a few minutes. Are there any questions I should be asking you when it comes to the world of you are a social media lead expert. What should we be asking you about?
Don't forget one of the most overlooked things is collaboration and community, right? Because you can try to do this on an island yourself, and you can spend a lot of time, have a lot of margaritas, try to figure it out, try to keep up with the algorithm of Facebook as they inevitably change it every single month. And to stick within the Facebook ad manager and just give up and say this doesn't work. Or you could go and find a community of people that do this full time and are going to be around there and show you best practices so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And then you have to realize too that the Facebook lead gen aspect of it is just the tip of the iceberg. The solution itself is a combination of everything. I mean, your follow-up, your automations, your integrations, scripts, strategies, role play, and a community that you can go to every single week and have masterminds and really learn from the top people how to make it work for you.
Yeah. And I do love, we'll wrap it up with this actually, the street text community. I mean, you're not here to pitch it. Well, you're always obviously here to grow street text. You're here just to give information today, but I am going to plug street text for you because I do love that community. Like your platform, street text, there are so many users that are openly sharing what's working, what's not in the ad space. I mean, how did you guys develop that open community?
Oh man, I think just organically, we just had a passion to serve our customers, and we knew that that was going to be the only way they're truly going to learn is to be amongst their peers. So, I mean, it's that as we're, coming into this June 23rd event, no agent left behind type of deal. It's like that concept is like, we really genuinely believe that every agent, we know it's got this natural fallout of 9 out of 10 agents over the next 2 years. So we don't want to leave any agent behind. And the key is there's a lot of these agents, they don't have the right mindset come in. They don't have the coaching or the mentoring there. They don't have the systems. They just don't know what it takes. So it's got to start on the why. Why are you here? Like, what's going to help you get past the inevitable, which is going to be the hard, arduous road and journey that you're on in the beginning. It's going to be a community of people around you, encouraging you, holding you accountable, sharpening you, showing you the way. So even as you're stumbling, a step back, you're walking 2 feet forward, right? And setting your mindset to know, just put it in the reps. Every rep you're doing, you're going to get closer to that goal that you have. It takes thousands of reps before you become an expert.
I love it. We're going to, with the show notes on this one, you just mentioned 2 things. One, if people get this right when it comes out, there's an event on June 23rd, 2022, which is going to be incredible. No agent left behind. So many different coaches, experts, just training on as this market shifts. But my guess is this episode, Marcus, is going to live on for a long time after June 23rd. So people watching
this replay.
What? I was just going to say, they can watch replay. They can watch replay, but also people are just, watching this webinar whenever they watch it. We're going to drop the link in for Street Tech so they can check it out. Where do you want them to do? What's the best way for them to kind of plug in and engage if they want to check out your community?
Awesome. I mean, I would say just set up a free trial because it's free. And you don't even have to use the trial, to be honest. It'll give you the kind of invite into our community and to our Facebook group, the Street Tech Insider. And I would say from there, join us on one of our weekly masterminds on Wednesday. Get to know the community, because that right there, I feel it's the community itself, it's the masterminds itself that people, once they invest into that 1 hour per week, they're lifers.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you for being here. This is awesome, dude. Truly.
Yeah, my pleasure, man.
Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.